Hello, everyone, and welcome to your Wednesday dose of wealth wisdom. Finally back on a Wednesday. I was tempted not to do it, but again, how you do anything is how you do everything. So I thought I'd pull my finger out and get it done. Right, allow me the standard moment to share for a few people to jump on, and then we'll begin as per normal. So a good one today that I seem to fall foul of quite a bit, and that's like poor use of communication. So I'm not going to be preaching on how to do it right. I'm just going to share on where I've gone wrong and how I plan to not go wrong in the future. Because it's a fairly important subject. If you get this wrong, like how are you going to be raising finance? How are you going to be getting the deals? Like you could potentially offend a lot of people unnecessarily. Right, I think we're good to go. So hello and welcome to your Wednesday dose of wealth wisdom with me, Daniel Kennedy, your host. Today's subject is going to be the skill of communication, dangers of getting it wrong, and pros of getting it right. So, three types of communication. They can be loosely lumped into this category, and that is verbal, non-verbal, and visual. I didn't remember that. I've got them written down. So verbal, obviously, when we talk, but also there's a lot more into actual verbal than you would first envisage. Like how you say something is just as important as what you say, if not more. So like the difference between what and to what or what, it's like it's completely different, even though it's the same word. Non-verbal is obviously pictures, text, potentially like drawings or whatever, and visual is also like so like pictures and whatever. So non-verbal is basically like you're writing actually, and letters and stuff like that. So in communication, the vast majority of it is body language. So going on a base that most of society is fairly negative, not all, but most. So if you resort to just writing without being able to express your tonality, your body language, and express sort of like how your stance is, the chances are you run the risk of it being perceived in a negative way. So one thing that I found really strange this week, I took a picture in front of a shop saying, great, guess which HMO came back onto the market. And there was no malice. I was genuinely excited for the bloody great deal I was hoping to get. I'm very pragmatic. Like in business, there's no sort of like, oh, it's my deal, I'm angry, it got taken away, etc. It was just pure joy. And that got perceived as I was taking the piss out of the estate agency, which I wasn't at all. And how to mitigate that, I suppose I could have explained a bit more about really excited to potentially get involved in this deal. But it really sort of gave me a quick, short lesson is I need to not burn these relationships. I need to communicate in a more effective manner, because I get quite a lot of deals from that estate agency. And if they feel I'm taking the piss, regardless of what my intention was, if that's how they perceive it, that's what it is. Like I can't then go, oh, no, I didn't mean that. So you have to be really careful. Well, I will have to be really careful of how I communicate, because I definitely don't want to be cutting off one of the sources of the deals, because my whole business is about doing deals. So as well, also, there's instances that I talk about, that I feel like daily I mess up and I'm a bit too short, and writing over text, sending messages over text, they get misconstrued, especially with tenants. I'll write just a standard text saying, okay, yeah, no worries, I didn't get my eyes on that, and it'll be perceived in a negative manner. So now what I try and do is I try and get people on the phone all the time. It just solves problems and issues so much better. So if you can't meet them face to face and you haven't got a really sort of informal relationship with the person, don't bother sending texts. Try and get them on the phone whenever possible, because most people will perceive what they want to perceive. And if, as we said, we'll go back to the baseline. If most people are negative, and you can't sort of like let your personality through, even if it's like a compliment, it can be perceived in a really negative way. And especially if people are not unfamiliar with you, and you might have a bit of sort of out there joking and bantering, and you might find it funny, but they'll perceive it in a negative way, and that cuts that business relationship off. And the more that I think about it, I bet there's been so much opportunity cost because of the way of how I've communicated my intention, regardless of what the intention is. So the intention is to try and do a deal, and then you come across as an absolute knob. You're not going to be able to do it. So to mitigate this, now what I'm going to do is really focus on minimizing texts and written correspondence, and try and get in front of people or get them on the phone. And when I do, because I document everything, I'm always documenting everything. I think it's a real great tool to show people and investors what you do, what your actual reality is of running a few businesses, because that's where we are now. I talk about when I'm not too happy with things, and that sometimes offends people. Like we had a construction company, and I did the video, some of you saw, and I was like, I'm not really happy with this, not really happy, and that was perceived in a really negative way. But that's something that I'm always going to do, and I could have handled that better by explaining, right, this is why I'm doing this. It's not to poke fun, or it's more about to document the journey, because people like authenticity, and no one's ever perfect. Like, we're always in the sort of market to get better, not bitter. Like, you can only beat yourself yesterday, and if the bar's fairly low in the beginning, there's going to be a lot of beating, and there's going to be quite a lot of time before you get to where you want. And it's kind of a journey to get better, and you're never there. You've always got to work at it. So sometimes if you're not in the position and you're not in the mindset of thinking, right, constructive criticism is actually a good thing, because it enables me to steer the boat ever so slightly in the right direction. And if you just come across as a knob saying that's crap, this is crap, this is crap, without explaining why, something that happens literally daily to me, I really have to work on this skill. And I think getting in front of somebody, having a chat about the reasons why, and not doing it over text would be a really great base. So they can see your body language, they can see you come from a place of wanting to get better, not a place of wanting to knock other people down. And especially tenants, I really struggle, and I'm sure you are the same, to not direct the conversations into a negative manner. So we've got some tenants now currently who are in a building project, and there was sort of like lots of back and forth over text, and it was becoming really sort of like lots of tension, lots of issues, and what's this, what's that, and then we had a conversation. I got in front of them, told them, like, basically presented my personality as somebody who changes their mind every bloody day, reassured them what they wanted to be reassured in. And now hopefully the relationship is built on a much better, sturdier base, and we can move forward because of the communication. I dedicated a little bit of time to it. It could definitely still use work, and that's something that I'm going to be moving on to. And the pros of getting communication right. So I had a call today with Amy Farrington about a CDM, and it was such a wonderful meeting, like 20 minutes of just pure like content of what I needed, what I wanted, and it was just like belt fed. It was perfect. There was no need to sort of coddle my like emotions or anything. I was there. She knew what I wanted. I knew what I wanted, and it was a really useful 20 minutes of my time. And that's the power of communication. As long as you set the rules from the beginning, and you get it all tickety-boo, as in the sense of the person knows you, you know the person, there's no need or no room for sort of error. You can get lots of content, save a lot of time, and be more productive. So that's my take on that. If you've got any questions about communication, or alternatively, if you know something, that a book that has helped you, or any type of like article, I would be really interested, because that's a little area that I'm going to try and improve now, because I feel that I'm lacking. So that would be really great to hear if any of you have dedicated some time and improved that sort of skill. Right, thank you.